in my drawers. You pat my back when I chore. Wish we were stuck in our ways. We way too young to get old.
Paint the world.
Now to get your girlfriend in the mood, here's a little number by...
Welcome to the only music discovery station on the internet, hosted by me. It is so good to be back in the radio station, bringing you the second installment of Cellybeary Radio. If you're not familiar with what we do here, every episode will feature a certain theme, genre, or artist, and then not unlike the discovery feature on Spotify, we introduce you to some similar stuff you might enjoy. As I'm sure you could tell, today's feature is Seba June, also known as Nujabes. Nujabes is one of those artists that made such a strong impression on his listeners. He left behind a lineage of aspiring artists and grandfathered an entire subsection of the online space we today call chill hop. His unique approach to hip-hop conveyed a sense of inner life, happiness, and love wrapped in airy tones of strings, bouncing piano progressions, and heavenly cuts that resembled the clearest sense of hope. Seba poured his heart into his projects and gave us his view of life through his musical remembrance. You may notice I'm speaking in the past tense a lot, and that's because Nujabes tragically passed away in 2010. But in a way, it made his music that much more emotionally latching. Rest in peace, Nujabes. You're making beats up in heaven now. He may not be physically with us anymore, but his music is still around for us to connect with him on a spiritual level. When I first created this radio show, it came with a great deal of passion because I genuinely feel as though music is a gift. There's not much else in this world that you can switch on and have it make you feel such a certain way instantaneously. We tend to match the music we listen to with our current energy, which is why we listen to sad music when we're sad. And Nujabes is here today to give us the passion and energy he felt when he created his signature beats. You are listening to Cellybeary Radio, and this is Aruarian Dance by Nujabes. Next up on the radio, a beat just as addictive and a vibe just as entrancing. This is Lady Brown. Has a name just as soulful as the melody, Reflection Eternal, a song that got me through many bus rides to and from school. Next up is maybe Seiba's most catchy song and hopefully a stranger to no one, Feather.
Light as a feather when I'm floating through, reading through the daily news, measuring the hurt within the golden rule. Centimeters of ether, I'm heating the speaker. Motivational teacher with words that burn people. Singing the headlines, line with discord. It's either genocide or the planet in uproar. Never good. The rules in paradise are never nice. The best laid plans of mice and men are never right. I'm just a vagabond with flowers for Algernon.
One of my personal favorites, Who's Theme. And lastly, Counting Stars. And thus begins the discovery. You may be asking me now, Cellybeary, how do you find music that even comes close to the inspiring melodies of Nujabes? How does one recreate the music of an artist gone too soon? It's true, you know, Nujabes was one of a kind in his own way. He managed to blur the lines between the Japanese and Western style of music so seamlessly that he could spin and weave his creativity into artistry. But to choose not to look beyond that would be just foolish and disheartening. There are many artists still living today that could use a few extra ears, not to mention those who had created music around the same time or even along his side. As we move forward, I want you to consider the two genres that primarily compose Nujabes' music: hip-hop and jazz. The artists we feature today may focus more closely on one than the other, but no matter the song, Nujabes' influence can be heard all the same. You are listening to Cellybeary Radio, and this is Vision Eyes by Uyama Hiroto.
The gist of it, just failed to adjust, baby, it was a bust. As I was saying, craving blunt, step up and started playing.
Coming up is another artist who was producing around the same time as Seiba, but with more of a flair for jazz. This is Temperature of Tears by DJ Okawari. And just because I'm such a fan, Okawari doesn't stop there. Next up is Sweet Light. And third, Luv Letter. Now, while we're on the topic of artists so close to Nujabes, I wanted to put the spotlight on Japanese hip-hop artist and friend of Seiba, Shingo 2.
The atmosphere, pure sound waves travel semi-infinitely. Plus I see you there up most definitely. Cause a beat plus a melody makes me speak of L-O-V-E eloquently.
Shingo 2 provided many of the vocals for Nujabes' music and helped make an iconic 6-piece musical compilation known as Lovesick.
Your vibe truly brings out the best in me. The rhymes will heal cause I believe in music. In times of need I won't believe in music. The beat plus the melody, the recipe. All good souls lost, may they rest in peace.
Lovesick had 6 parts to it, with the first 3 made before Saba's passing and the last 3 posthumously.
Feel it, we'll keep walking and we can't get far. Wherever you are. Funny how the music put time in perspective. Add a soundtrack to your life and perfect it. Whenever you are, feel it, we'll keep walking and we can't get far. Wherever you are.
Shingo 2 and Saba had planned to release parts 4, 5, and 6 as a trilogy with a theme rather than a sequel, with 4 being about discovery, 5 about parting, and 6 about reuniting.
Joy of a spilled milk on a quill, a lavender, woven in the fabric of a calendar. Dress up at the end of October. Give thanks to the family November. The cold but cozy December. And we back to the origins. Let me begin. Snowflakes in January. Hot warm like February.
Due to label restrictions, Part 5 was actually released before Part 4, in conjunction with some help from Oyama Hiroto.
Your smile is the only thing that comes to mind. Your smile is the only thing that shines. Whether a tree lived to see the end of centuries, or a random hand picks it instantly. Life is all a miracle for all to see. I must tell you that you live beautifully.
Part 6 was born when labels had tracked down a beat Nujabes had left on his phone, titled Lovesick, Grand Finale.
Can't possess for long, just pass it on like a song. I might look calm and collected at a glance, but I taste the void when I'm not connected to the world kinetic, as opposed to static. Idle hands, a workshop of a digital addict. On the hot street for inspiration is key to feed the mind in need of stimulation. Elevating music to the space station. Penthouse of stars to blaze it. After 6 comes 7 and 8. Access code to the pearly gates. They say heaven can wait. Any speed of fate. A finale to a play from a mate. I see the angels draw the drapes over the earthscape where the wine and the spirit of grace. Gotta finish what we started, so I cut the stage. As the Rex will stay and rotate.
The story of Lovesick makes a 6-piece compilation all the more captivating and emotional, and as we stray away from the Discovery's closer artists, I encourage you to give the entire piece a listen. Next up is Distant Graphite by Blazo. Also by Blazo, Brisk Yellow. Five Percenter by MYK and Shirosky.
I'm just chillin', sun to my back and I'm on my mission. Switch on my headphones, listen for fresh tones. They sound so brilliant when your mind is free inside the deep and thoughts that flow so sweet. It's so
The Bund by the Shanghai Restoration Project. Shooting Star by DJ Sorama. Hope Springs Eternal by Witness. Also by Witness, Letters to June. Night 22 by Taku. Celery Man by Birocratic. Serendipity by Kenichiro Nishihara. A Samurai's Death by Rico James.
I'd rather die on my feet with my head held high.
Sea Breeze by Sir J. Mantis. Slower Flower by Michito. San Francisco by MIDI Chronica. Nujabes Tribute 3 by Nicholas Chung. Alleguro, also by Michito. Nujabes without a doubt has cemented his legacy into the burning passion of his aspiring artists. They'll go on to spread their influence into other genres and explore and push the boundaries where Seba didn't have the chance to. Although the theme for today is Nujabes, I thought it would be a good idea to stretch beyond that for just a moment and explore one of the artists who was most influenced by Seba, Shingo 2, a musician who was lucky enough to work alongside Nujabes and provide the vocals for some of Seba's most brilliant hits. Although the song coming up may not necessarily sound like Nujabes, I want it to be a representation of a sort of following in his footsteps. Shingo 2 managed to solidify his own distinct genre through the influence of Seba and blend his signature vocals into a song you may have never even considered to infuse together. The combination is beautiful, and the combination is here on Cellybeary Radio. This is When You Come Around.
Yeah. I know she's heaven sent, that's why I'm hell-bent. I mean I have to be myself to stay relevant. Therefore it's evident, been smitten ever since I had the blessing of meeting a lady radiant, so benevolent, she skipped a gradient. Picnic on the median, nice like Arabian. Lately magnificent, sky I'm kissing, highly reminiscent of the feeling I've been missing. Man on the mission is my title in addition to you on my menu and my long list of wishing. Ask for favors and praise intermittent. You might feel permanent, but no, it's never given. That's a charm of destiny manifested. Post a chat, go for gold, checking the javelin. Mind and reveling, driven out Marty and DeLorean, traveling time. When you come around, show me that smile. You read mine.
This installment of Cellybeary Radio is special to me in so many ways because it acts as testament that music is just one large compilation of ideas, a collaboration that transcends past the span of mortality. Nujabes explored past one genre of music to find its pairing with another, even going as far as to combine mediums, with his composing for many of the distinct songs in the anime Samurai Champloo. If you haven't seen this show, I urge you to watch it, not just for the plot. I mean, Samurais alone would have been enough of a selling point, but for the way the show incorporates Seba's music. From Mugen's breakdancing style of swordsmanship to beatboxing samurais, this show could have had any old soundtrack and been just as awesome. But the music pushes it so much further than that. Nujabes was truly unique in his musical presentation, and we probably remember him so fondly, partly because of how labels love to capitalize on an early artist's death. It's a bleak theme to discuss after so much positivity, but it's something to consider when we look at all that's laid before us. It goes without saying that Seba himself had his own sources of inspiration, so much so in fact that you can trace back just about every one of his tracks to one iconic source. Don't believe me? Here's a few. The Shade of the Mango Tree was brought to us by Louis Bonfa and sampled in, you guessed it, Lady Brown. This is I Miss You by Noriko Koz, which Nujabes sped up to make Reflection Eternal. Yusuf Lateef brings us the love theme from The Robe to bring us the entire 6-second loop for Feather. And Lorindo Almeida brings us The Lamp is Low, which I'll let you take a guess where it's from. It's cool, you know? When I set out to make this episode, I thought, Nujabes. Yeah, that would make for a terrific episode. How could anyone say no to the entrancing melodies of Japanese hip-hop? What I didn't expect to find was such a rich history of music that defines it as a collaborative process. When many of us think of Nujabes, we're reminded of the story of an artist with a unique passion that was taken away from us far too soon. When I made this episode, it made me feel like Saba was still here, living on in the creativity of so many artists. What I'm trying to say is, Nujabes may be gone, but he's immortalized his legacy into the heart of artists everywhere. When we hear his influence, we shouldn't think of substitutes, but instead of writing the next chapter. Thanks so much for letting me be your host today, and I can't wait to see you next time on Cellybeary Radio.